No.
How to go ahead? Just
Sorry?
pushing on return to make it forward. This one.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. May I start now?
That will as a model for today's session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First of all, to all of the lecturers of the Agriculture, Engineering and Biofuel Department from Andalus University, and the honorable for all participants of this seminar, and also our special guest in this seminar, Professor Hiroki Oe from Ehime University, Japan. So, in this seminar, I am Dr. Hodiman, and the alumnus of this department. I was graduated on 2016. And in this seminar, I am the moderator. I'm very glad to see you here, and welcome to all of you to this seminar. For today's seminar is about the water management for rice cultivation in the dry season in Sulawesi, and also we have two speakers in this morning. We have Professor Hiroki Oe and also Dr. Fadli Itat. They will be talking about the dry season impact for rice cultivation. And for our speakers, we have our first speaker today is Professor Hiroki Oe. He is from the Department of Science and Technology for Biological Resources and Environment in Ehime University, Japan. His field study is specialty for hydrometeorology for environmental science. And also for our second speaker today is Dr. Fadli Izzat. He's from this department, Agricultural Engineering and Biosystem Department, Andalus University. So before the presentation begins, let me inform you that how the presentation will be going on. First, we will invite it to present the material from our speaker today, and then after that we will go to the next step to have question Q&A section. So now allow me to welcome our speaker, Professor Hiroki Oe and Dr. Fadli Izzat. Time is yours.
All right. So thank you very much for introduction, Mr. Doki, and also thanks for your organizing such a great seminar, Dr. Fadli. As I was introduced by Mr. Doki, I'm from Japan, Ehime University. Ehime is located in west part of Japan. Ehime Prefecture is quite a very local prefecture, and but Ehime University is quite famous in agriculture sciences. So I'm a professor of Faculty of Agriculture and also Graduate School of Agriculture for master degree course. Moreover, I am a professor of the United Graduate School of Agriculture Sciences, Ehime University. This is a PhD school. Dr. Fadley got a PhD under my supervising last year, very successfully with a very excellent academic achievement, writing the scientific paper, 3 or more. Then Mr. Doki will be my student in PhD school from next month. So I'm very glad to have a lecture for you. Also through online, because your university is one of our very important university in terms of academic exchange. I hope that some of you will come to my university as a master or student or PhD student in the future. All right, anyway, let me start my talk about water management for rice cultivation in the dry season, but not in West Sumatra, but in South Sulawesi. And besides my name, Sartika and Agnes were my colleagues that studied with me. But naturally speaking, this isn't quite old story, unfortunately, sorry, about 8 years ago. But at that time, Dr. Fadli was also my colleague. But at that time, he was a master course student in IPB. All right, let me start about location. Here is Sulawesi Island, and here is Makassar, and the research site is about 30 kilometers south from Makassar. Here I can show the site. Here's a river, Jeneberan River. This has a great dam, Bilibili Dam, constructed in 2000. And from Bilibili Dam, this irrigation system has been getting irrigation water from these 3 weirs, Bilibili weir, Biswa weir, and the Kampili weirs. And then different colored area is each area is getting water from this each weir as an irrigation water, like this way. And our site located here in a yellow colored area, complete irrigation system. Here's a name, Pitiga Arenga. Water Users Association here is located in the very downstream of this irrigation system. If you listen to about the downstream, maybe you can imagine that, easily imagine that the downstream area with an irrigation area cannot get water so sufficiently, right? Downstream area. As normally, irrigation water can be obtained from upstream, okay? So in the downstream area, irrigation water can't get so freely nor sufficiently. So this is a problem. So in the dry season here, a little different from Padang or West Sumatra, and South Sulawesi has 3 seasons. First one is rainy season, and the second one is the first dry season, and the second dry season. First dry season has a little rainfall after rainy season. But in the second dry season, starting from around August up to until October, very little rainfall, or in August, maybe no rainfall. So that's why, just like a desert land. So anyway, in the second dry season, without any water through this irrigation system, through a canal, how did farmers cultivate rice and other crops? This is the subject of today. Please look at the primary variation of rainfall. Rainfall is drawn in a blue-colored bar, and you can see a red-colored line. This is the groundwater level. So starting from the first rain season, okay, it's better for us to see 2013 as an example. Here's a rainy season. You can see a lot of rainfall. But in the first dry season, yes, a little rainfall. But in the second dry season, you can see very little rainfall. So during the course of the season, let's look at the groundwater level. In the rainy season, go up, and groundwater level went up. Here is ground surface, not ground surface. So up to the ground surface, groundwater level up, and after that, decreasing. You can see, and in the second dry season, groundwater level. Oh, you can see it in the scale, but this is around 2 meter or 2.5 meter from the ground surface. So like this way, groundwater level decreases in the second dry season. But as I said, the second dry season, no water through canal originated from them. So all farmers uptake groundwater by pumping. So even such a very low groundwater level, they used and pump to take water to their own field. Okay, under such a condition, please look at the map. Where were cultivated by rice and where were cultivated another or others, and where was no crop in the second dry season. You can see a blue-colored part. This is a rice cultivation, even in very dry conditions, by pumping up farmers to cultivate rice here. Next, please look at the light green part. Mainly, and this Petiga area, Petiga Remnants area, was occupied by this color. This means that the Mambin. Mambin is a Kacang Hijau. Kacang Hijau, you can maybe know that the Kacang Hijau can be grown with a very little water. If the farmer don't think about productivity. But anyway, with a very little water, Kacang Hijau can grow by extending a root to a very deep position of the ground, so that the root can uptake the groundwater even under the dry condition. So the mambin was one of the important crops in this area. The next year, remember, this is the next year. Also, you can see a very occupied mambins area and the rice area also. They could have a crop cultivated rice by pumping out from the groundwater. Also, you can see a little chili area. Chili is one of them very nice commodities for farmers. If I may summarize about the land use in the second dry season, mostly mambin. but partly rain and rice, thanks to groundwater uptake by pump. So and now I will talk about background. So as I said, no canal water in the second rain season and no rainfall, and the farmers just have to taking up the groundwater by pumping. So by using a groundwater and the water scarcity, how did farmer cultivate? So as I said, green bean, kacang hijau, was irrigated. Also, as I said, kacang hijau can grow without a lot of water, but then the kacang hijau is irrigated twice, just twice. First one is before seeding. Then after irrigation, farmer seed. So the second one is around 2 and 3 weeks after seeding. In terms of the beans growth stage, this is on V3. V3 means a vegetative stage third. I will show the photo of the irrigation, second irrigation later. And also rice is cultivated by using the groundwater. So this is a photo of the second irrigation timing. You can see here, after rice was cultivated, irrigated, the land is irrigated, and after that, kacang hijau is seeded. So this farmer is very glad to have water like this way, under the very dry condition without any rainfall. So we all are very glad to have water from the groundwater like this way, pumping. He's very glad, and also I'm very glad. And next is a photo in a rice paddy field in second rain season. As I said, without any water, also rice can be cultivated by groundwater. And this person is measuring groundwater discharge. As one of our research objectives is to measure how much water is irrigated to the rice paddy field, okay, for water management. And no need to say, under very dry condition, I mean, as you look at the map, rice field is very separated, isolated, not so wide area, very small area and separated. So if the small area of the rice field is irrigated, the water infiltrated to the ground, right? In this case, maybe you learned how water is infiltrated, maybe mostly vertically, right? But in case of this rice field, as the rice field is very isolated, not only vertically, but also horizontally, lateral way. So much more water is needed compared with the water use in the rainy season due to such water consumption in the soil. But for rice cultivation, then this is a very water consumptive agriculture activity. If farmer want to cultivate rice, but on the other hand, for other farmers who cultivate mung bean, thanks to infiltrated water, even to the laterally, and farmer who cultivate mung bean can get the water from the rice field like this way through the ground. So this is a system of the water movement and the water use in this area, in the second rice season. Maybe you can imagine in the rice field like this way, then surrounded by the mung bean area. the man-being farmer can utilize the water through the ground without irrigating their own man-being field so much. That's why twice is quite enough for man-being to be grown. It's like this way we measure and discharge. But here is a man-being, okay? Here's a rice field, as I said. The rice field is irrigated like this way. Here's a well. Well is developed by farmers themselves. I saw how farmer made the well. They use a bamboo bar, then like this way. Then it took about, I remember, around 5 or 6 hours to make one well. But very easily, they can make a well to the depth of around 3 meters. It is very impossible for me to do that in Japan. It's very hard. So I was impressed by their a kind of a knowledge and the traditional knowledge. Yeah. Anyway, but like this way, and pumped up water flow like this way. So into the rice paddy field, but then the water infiltrated here can be utilized in this man-being field also. And irrigated in the rice field, also laterally infiltrated. The water can be utilized maybe in this man-being field also. Oh, she's very glad to have a harvest. Here's a well, like this size. The plus, we did an micrometeorological measurement by setting up such an instrument. Now, Dr. Fadli and Mr. Doki and colleagues are having such types of tower in the rural area close to Bukit Tinggi. So after this seminar, in this afternoon, we will go to the field together. Maybe have you ever seen this type of meteorological instruments? All right, and although this is a very small photo, let me introduce something. Here is a radiation sensor. Radiation sensor. How much radiation energy from the sun, from the sky. And we can experience many radiation energy also within the house or building and also outside. Please remember, we have two types of radiation. Maybe you know. One is a shortwave radiation. Shortwave radiation caused by solar radiation from the sun. The second one is long wave radiation. Long wave radiation is what we say infrared. Yeah. This is mainly emitted by Earth, also by your body. So even on a very dark night, long wave radiation is emitted from anywhere. So these instruments are measuring shortwave radiation from the sun and the long wave radiation from the sky, and shortwave radiation that was reflected by the ground, and the shortwave and long wave radiation that is emitted by the ground. So this sensor is measuring 4 terms. So by measuring the 4 terms, we can get how many watt per square meter radiation energy is absorbed by the ground. So absorbed radiation energy is partitioned to some heat energy. Radiation energy distributed to firstly a sensible heat flux. Sensible heat flux is transported by the air movement, just like a convection. So if this ground is warmed by the radiation, the warmed ground transfer energy, heat energy to the air on the ground, right? So the warmed air is transported to the upper atmospheric layer. By this air movement, heat is transferred from the ground to the air. This is a sensible heat flux. Next one is latent heat flux. Latent heat flux is what we call evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration. Maybe you know that when water is evaporated, the water absorbs a lot of heat energy. If you will wet your skin, when the water is evaporated, you can feel very cool, right? This is a latent heat flux. Latent heat flux. So the radiation energy is also partitioned to latent heat flux. This is an evapotranspiration from this cropped area. So like this way, we can estimate how much water is consumed for evapotranspiration by this field. This is a way of the micrometeorological method. So now I will show our result little by little. So this is a result that I showed already. And next, it's a quite complicated graph, but let me show this graph, the bottom center. This timely variation shows the evapotranspiration and the thick solid line. This normal solid line shows evapotranspiration from Mumbean field, Kacang-Hijau field. The dotted line shows the primary variation of potential evaporation. And the thick solid line shows the scale is, unfortunately, you can't see it here. This is a bit, all right. This Kc means a kind of crop coefficient. If crop coefficient is 1.0, evapotranspiration is equals to potential evaporation. You may think that the potential evaporation is a kind of an evaporation from the open water surface. But actually, AP, potential evaporation, can be calculated by Penman equation, very simply, Penman equation. Anyway, in that Mumbean field, as you see, the Kc is less than 1.0. So like this way, the Kacang-Hijau field is a little harder water stress. So on the other hand, next is all right. Next is timely variation in rice paddy field. You can see a Kc here, and the Kc was mostly over 1.0. Due to sufficient water provided to the rice paddy field. But in a little bit of detail, please look at here, starting from the transplanting season here. After transplanting, and the rice, you can imagine the rice paddy field. Let's now, and after the land preparation, let's transplant rice. Then after that, maybe you can see a very small rice plant, right? So the rice paddy field is just like a water surface. So this is the reason at the initial stage, the KC was around 1.0, because this is a very similar condition as a water surface. After that, with the growth of the rice plant, KC increased like this, up to 1.2 or 1.3, thanks to a transpiration, promoted transpiration by rice plant. Here is the largest season of the evapotranspiration. The evapotranspiration that season is around 7 millimeter per day. Okay, now for your very basic knowledge, please remember, evapotranspiration in rice paddy field is around up to 6 or 8 millimeter per day in a very dry and clear condition. But in a very cloudy condition, evapotranspiration is around 2 or 3 millimeter per day. If you measure the evapotranspiration larger than 10 millimeter per day, you may be surprised. Well, it's a very big evapotranspiration. 10 millimeter per day is very large and a very rare phenomena. Anyway, after that, and before cultivation, you can see a decreased KC like this. Yeah. All right, this is a very tentative trend of the KC in the rice paddy field. So by applying this way and this measurement, we can parameterize, we can model the K value like this. I draw, and the red colored solid circle shows the measurement and estimated by my ET measurement. And this can be modeled by this line. This line is a kind of a logistic curve. So by this model, you can estimate, you can predict evapotranspiration in the rice paddy field very simply. Okay, let's skip a very complicated story. But based on reality, it's a very important for you. So the measured data is very precious, okay? By taking care the instruments and let's measure the phenomena very carefully. And after that, gotten data are very precious because data are the reality, okay? Calculated the results are not the reality. Or the measured reality, I could model this phenomena about evapotranspiration. This is one of the processes of the modeling. Sorry, it's a little bit complicated. So I will not tell, but this parameter CH could be parameterized by plant height of rice. Plant height of rice. Next one. This parameter beta was the beta was parameterized by soil water content. Soil water content at 5 centimeters. Here you can see a 40% or 50%, and this is a saturated condition. In any time, SWC percentage is different between soil type to type, no need to say. Maybe you know very well about soil physics, right? But around 40% shows very saturated. On the other hand, less than 20% volumetric soil water content means very dry condition. So even 10%, a completely dry condition. Under the 10%, maybe plant can extract water by root. Anyway, under the dry condition to a wet condition, based on the measurement, I parameterized this beta by this way. But and model was different between stage to stage of the Kacang Hijau. After Kacang Hijau grown up, this means an green colored one, October to November. This is a high season of the growth of Kacang Hijau. Kacang Hijau could extract water by the long root. That's why even under a quite dry condition, beta was very high. Beta 1.0, you can see that beta 1.0 is a very active transpiration. Very active transpiration. So under the very dry condition, Kacang Hijau, we can find that Kacang Hijau can extract water very well, even under dry condition. And this model also showed such properties, Kacang Hijau, under dry condition. By this way, okay, this is the root of Kacang Hijau, very long, right? Up to 80 centimeters. The root extended and to extract water. Maybe it's around time to conclude, right? So by this way, by this way, we produce the about transpiration based on the model very successfully. So total amount of water consumed by the Kacang Hijau was 370 millimeter in around 100 days.
Dan mudah-mudahan ini akan di-trigger untuk ke depannya. Samping itu juga.
And lastly, I would like to show the result of water consumption of rice field and the bare field. Now you can see the rainfall, total rainfall here, the second rain season totally, just 120 millimeter. It is just 1.2 millimeter per day, very little, right? It's a rainfall. Under such a very small rainfall, having a groundwater uptake or irrigation, then please see the rice field water use. Irrigation in the rice paddy field was here. You can see, let's see, around 1,760 millimeter, maybe taller than your body, right? 1.76 meter. This is the water irrigated to the rice paddy field. And nextly, water consumed by evapotranspiration was around 600 millimeter. So let's think, it's a very simple. 120 millimeter rainfall plus 1,000 around 700 millimeter irrigation. This is an input to the rice field. And output, one of the outputs is evapotranspiration that was around 600. So residue was around 1,300 millimeter. Where it went? 1,300 millimeter. Where? So this one was partly I will show and utilized by Mambin. Next one is Mambin field. As I said first, Mambin field was irrigated just twice. So total irrigation was less than 100 millimeter, right? And 100 millimeter irrigation by twice irrigation activity was less than a total amount of rainfall. anyway, around 100 irrigation and 100 rainfall, totally 200 millimeter was input to the Mambin field. But the Nevada translation was over 400. 400. Input was 200, and now one of the outputs was 400. So 200 or more must be given from somewhere. Partly this was provided by the rice paddy field. This is a water balance structure in this area, as I said first. So if I may say about the farmers' activity for agriculture, because today's title is water management, farmers know this water balance structure, not theoretically, but based on their experience. So now I had to admire their traditional knowledge without measuring anything. We measure many things, but the farmers did not measure maybe, but the farmers know and noticed such a reality of the water balance in this field. Irrigating to the rice paddy field, yes, the rice farmer can cultivate rice even under the second dry season. And other farmers who cultivate hijawa know that they can get the water from the ground thanks to the irrigation to the rice paddy field. And this structure is very simple, but we could know this after a lot of measurements. But farmers already know without measurement by their experience. So anyway, this is about transportation totally, water balance totally. 100 rainfall and 1,600 total irrigation was 6,100, and in the total area, not just some rice paddy. So 100 millimeter rainfall and 160 millimeter irrigation to the whole area averagely, and the evapotranspiration was 380 millimeter. And lastly, if we calculate this water balance very simply, around minus 100 millimeter should have been provided from somewhere. This what I say, because no water, no source water through canal. That's why from existing groundwater, they could cultivate rice, mung, and chili, and eggplant, and others. Okay, this is a very short story about the water management and the water balance in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation from Joey. Which class for here?
Thank you very much.
And before we move to the next thing, we will learn about the rights and things that for right position from the family. Please.
No problem. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, for the audience, even in this room and also in the Zoom. Thank you very much, Sensei, for your attendance today. So give us the motivated to put the good research, yes. So especially for the student of semester. Today I would like to present about the effect of the dry season on rice production. Continuing from our previous presentation on the context of the dry season, we understand what our condition global climate change. The global climate change cause the rainfall pattern, especially in Indonesia. Our focus on even in rainy season and also dry season. But the most problem rice cultivation is dry season. We know before, yeah. Then how to monitor, how to predict or impact the rice production in the large area. So have the remote sensing analysis. This is why the especially this our study in West Sumatra, especially Agam. And the specific area for our instrument is installed in the Geonombia. So this research conducted since 2019. The first one is how to define the rice. This is very important for rice cultivation. When the dry season starts and when it ends. So we conducted the fifth polynomial equation. Polynomial equation to take the dry season in a year. So after collecting the data for 30 years, we get the average dry season. So this is the dry season in Assam State from 30 years data. So with the net supply efficiency, we get now for in this model we can put in good performance to take the onset of the dry season or the start of the dry season and the end of the dry season is very good. So we can predict when the dry season start and end in the year. After that, we arrange this the rice cultivation period in actual plantation. Plantation 1, plantation 2, and plantation 3. So most of the dry season occur in the plantation. But how many farmers also cultivate the rice in the dry season? Also in another province, yeah? So Sulawesi, rice one still cultivate the rice. Due to the minimum requirement on rain, 8.76 millimeters per day, since they present before, the evapotranspiration of rice 7.8 millimeters per day. This is also this is the minimum requirement to rain to determine lower density rain belong to the rice or density rain belong to rainy season. So in Agam district, rainy season occur only the beginning of January, but it's called dry season because dry season 10 10 weeks station in the top gearing. Next, this is our instrument, which also a camera, but the drone, maybe also from camera to take what the impact of the dry season on rice production, especially for water management. So we see first what kind of what the effect of the water management as cultivation. So this first study we conducted in Matsuyama High School rice field in Japan. So by using water management before and after irrigation, we can detect the improvement of the DPI and the how. It's okay. So we get the conclusion that in DPI value using camera had a positive response to soil water condition. So we can detect how the plant responds to the water condition due to the rice field. Therefore, we can improve this research into the scale area, especially by using the remote sensing data, on satellite, this one sub A, while I two to get the individual value in large area. So here the method how to get the impact of rice for dry season on rice production. Here we can see the individual value of the landscape. This is the RGB or vision coming from the drone. This is from the drone that we used before with NDVI camera, and this is from the Landsat. This is the Landsat level 2, Landsat at level 1, and this is the NDVI value range in 0.3 until 1, because the value of NDVI minus 1 until plus 1. So the spatial image of the Landsat around 30 meters. Compare then the drone is very high resolution. Yeah, as we know, this drone can 0.5 5 centimeter the resolution. So compare between the Landsat is too high compared to. But the advantage of using Landsat is we can analyze in large scale area in one district or even one province. So this is the advantage using the satellite imagery. So we get an detailed correlation between Landsat and using UAV, our camera. It's quite good, 0.68, yeah, 0.68 for calibrating the Landsat. If we are using and because as I thought before, the resolution is different, but the same area and large area. And our targeted rice field, Akan district with RF2 and RT, indicated by rice field after 40 until 80 days after transplant. So and then after 80 days after transplant, focus on this individual minimum 0.5 to 0.7. So in this range, we can detect rice field in the Akan district, especially in rice field area. This is our result in the MPRK. So in the small area, MPRK sub-district on this sub-district. Here the rice cultivation, this is one. Rice cultivation and without rice, and this is still in the transplanted process. So in dry season, most of the farmers still satisfy the rice. So in the condition 40 until 80 days after transplant, even in dry season. So this correlation between the Lansat NDVI level with the rice yield, get the correlation 0.6. The correlation between rice yield. And this rice field area, by using Lansat, we can historical data from 2017 until 2021. Can collect the data in rice field condition every dry season. Every dry season. Focus on June until September. And from the historical data, we could get the compare between the start of the dry season and the end of the dry season. There's correlation. When the amount of the first one, when the amount of rainfall higher become the higher, it's could produce rice more or rice production become higher. So in this positive correlation, you can see the positive correlation between the amount of rainfall and also rice production. It's really high correlation by determining the correlation 0.6. And when the onset of the start of the dry season become later, delay the onset of dry season, the rice production will increase because the duration of the dry season will become shorter. For example, as we mentioned before, first, yeah. This is the duration of dry season. When the onset of dry season later delay exposition, so the duration of dry season becomes shorter. That's it. There's advantage for farmer come the increasing of rice production. And another story, when the end of the dry season become later or delay, it's a big problem for farmer because it will decrease the rice production, even in duration. When the duration is longer, it's usually become decrease the production of rice. That's the conclusion with the impact of the dry season on rice production, as you can see in this graph. So the summary is the one way of how to monitor, how to detect the impact of dry season on rice production is by using data research. Even Lansat, another story, Sentinel also, but all these also you can do. But the Lansat is more higher correlation to detect the impact of dry season on rice production. And then the important thing is total rainfall during the dry season, so the high correlation with rice production. As we know, in this year, dry season already occurred, but the total rainfall still higher even in dry season. So it means rice production in our province right now or in Agam district not has a big impact in rice. So we predict the rice production still in stable condition because our rainfall in the June is higher. Yeah. So that's all about my presentation. Thank you very much and thank you for our great story on that. Okay, I think we will go to the next.
I will introduce myself. My name is Fauzi Azhar. I'm from the Department of Agricultural and Engineering. Sir, I wanna ask a question. How we can cultivate? I'm sorry. In dry season, how can we cultivate dry land, and how can we make the dry land to into a land? Bagaimana cara kita di musim yang kering, musim kering itu Pak, bagaimana cara kita untuk mengolah tanah yang juga kering karena kekurangan air dari hujan untuk jadi tanah yang bisa diolah kembali untuk cocok untuk tanam.
I think we collect for several things and then set them right. Second, next. Nothing more?
Okay, thank you. My name is Muhammad. I'm asking for, sir, is the model you are showing only for rice and green beans, or can it be used for other crops such as potatoes or corn?
So, and I think we have buat question today. And also we have the participant from the meeting, maybe that someone want to ask our speaker today. Okay, I think we will learn. We'll learn the answer from our speaker today. We had two questions. First one is from Fauzi Azahra, and the question is how to do that preparation in crisis. And the second one from Muhammad Hafiz, and the question is the model from made by okay, it can be used to for another crops.
Thank you very much for this very important and very pointed question. Two questions I think are very important. For the first question, yes, it is very for rice cultivation. Also in Japan, for land preparation, look towards this. If I may say about my research is that mostly Japan, the rice cultivation starts from mostly from the end of April to beginning of June. In Japan, before June, especially in May, it's a very clear conditions are continuing without lot of rain. That's why in Japan also. And preparation under the very dry conditions soil, farmers must make it wet, and also by irrigation for land preparation, the groundwater levels increase. If I may tell about my experience in my area, before irrigation, land preparation,
groundwater level is lower than 2 meter or even 3 meter, very low. But after irrigating and preparation, quickly groundwater level to around 1 meter. So by this way, and one of the objectives of land preparation irrigation in the rice cotton field is to make the region wet, completely wet. That's why lot of water is for land preparation. That water very special. Rice flow, the whole rice flows field. Anyway, setting aside that story. In this area, especially in the second run sea, completely dry condition, as I showed, the groundwater level in the graph, so as lower than 2.5. But then, due to a very sandy soil property, that area, even after irrigation, groundwater is not used. So for land preparation, pumping up the groundwater, then irrigating, and the water is infiltrated through the and to reach to the ground. So like this way, water is recycled for irrigation. Irrigation and groundwater is stored and at the groundwater. So this is a structural. Anyway, without any surface water from the camp through the camp, irrigation for preparation must be taken from the ground. So I also measured how much water was used for land preparation, but I'm so sorry, I did not prepare the slide. But in that one. And if I may say about first glance, that story about second glance. If I may say about first dry season. At the first dry season, it's just after rainy season. So already land is very good. So thanks to such a climatic condition and soil water condition for the land preparation in the first dry season, not so much water. This story like to your question. Very much. And next one, your question is also there. Yeah. As I show in the graph, to estimate, to predict an gas transportation of water use for irrigation, one of the ways we use the model of KP, Cultivation, as you like this. And as I shown, the KP can be represented by the logistic. And it's the day after transport. Very simple. But for upland crops, due to the effect of soil water content on river transpiration or crop pollution, we can model KC by day after seed. That's why I didn't show, sorry. KC can be parameterized modeled by SWC plus day after seed. That, do you remember the graph of beta? I draw 3 lines with respect to soil water content. That is one of the models to produce water transpiration and water consumption for mango. But as you said, for other crops, we need to get in such steps individual. Maybe upland for upland class, very standard way that like this way we can get. Some crops are very tolerant to dry, but Some crops are very sensitive to drainage. That's why the curve is very. So we need individual. But if you do certain research and then get a model, your work can be published. I can't. So please be careful. Thank you.
Okay, maybe that's. So there's a funny question. Yes, today. So I think I know that you are a new student. Yes. Yes. So, I think we in general our talking about the work we use and one in this seminar it can be imagine what you should do in the future. And you can use which one the special skill that you need to improve your study in this department. So it's like it's same like me during the first year. Also learn about the general about the culture, and after the third year, you need the skill like this, like Mr. Dr. Fadli did about the ice, the crisis and the referencing. Maybe in the future you will do that with different method and different objective. So, there's any question for our speakers today? No? Sit up? Or are you still asleep? No. Okay, I think that's enough for this speaker today. Still going so that as all of the participants included from our participants today. And thank you for today. I'm sorry if I have nice and modern opportunity. Yeah.